It's Tuesday, August 14, and time for your Barbados Today evening news update. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. In another 2 weeks, government will be rolling out its roadmap for the next 2 phases of the Barbados Economic Recovery and Transformation Program. Word of this from Prime Minister Mia Mottley as she tabled a resolution, the Public Service General Order 2018, which paves the way for civil servants to receive a 5% pay hike in this month's paycheck. She told Parliament government has some serious decisions to make about the structure of its operations. A key area that will be targeted is state enterprises, noting that state enterprises continue to be a serious drain on the public purse. She said tough new measures have been implemented to stop the bleed.
We cannot afford the transfers to a lot of these state-owned enterprises that the last government has left on our doorstep. And today is not the day to get in how Water Authority needs $60 million more, or how Transport Board needs $70 million more, or how National Housing Corporation does not function unless government can provide with $25 million a year, which it does not do and has not done on a regular basis, and hence the buildup of arrears of all of these entities. I'm happy to report to the country that we now have a system, and there are few who dropped out this month, and the ministers will be held accountable for them. But we now have a system where within 5 days of the previous month, the management accounts of state-owned enterprises are presented and delivered to the Ministry of Finance for our consideration and analysis. There are a few who believe that a habit is not to be developed of this practice, and that having done it 2 months in a row, that they shouldn't do it a third. It will not happen under this government. There will be discipline on the part of all those who are entrusted with the funds of the taxpayers to manage in this country.
Prime Minister Mottley has summoned key officials from government departments and statutory corporations to talks next Tuesday to discuss a new approach to managing expenditure and resources. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister says the restructuring will also have an impact on jobs in the public service. She, however, assured it would not amount to 5,000 or 6,000 jobs being lost. She outlined a series of measures to cushion the impact on those who will be affected.
There will be a unit in my office that will allow all those who may be the victims of restructuring to be able to work with us, and for us to work with them, to see how through a series of measures, whether access to government land, farming, whether access to licenses, whether through affirmative action that I will ask the Attorney General to enshrine in legislation for the period of adjustment, such that the government may direct a portion of its spend on procurement to be able to assist those who are to be the victims of any adjustment. Whether in the modernization of government and the transformation of government, as I said earlier, with digitization, whether the fact is that we have over $100 million in capital projects to spend now on roads, such that the private sector construction companies will need people between the IDB, the CDB, and CAF over the next 2-3 years to help in the construction of those roads and bridges that are to come down. Whatever it is.
Meanwhile, government legislators today gave the thumbs up to the 5% wage hike. In his contribution to debate, Minister of Transport, Works and Maintenance, Dr. William Duguid, said it would be a big boost for the local economy, and he challenged the private sector to follow suit and grant its workers a similar pay hike.
If the government has seen its way to increase the salaries of its workers by 5%, I want the private sector of this country to look at lifting that wage freeze and increasing the wages of all the people in Barbados, commensurate with what the government has led to do. And I think this is an important move that the government has taken. because we need to put some money in people's pockets if we're going to ask them to endure a stabilization process over the next few years.
To other news this Tuesday, 2 murder accused, including a teenager, have been remanded to HMP Dodds until September 11. 23-year-old Romel Hose Marvel of Hawkins Gap, Westbury Road, St. Michael, and 17-year-old Darren Devon Thompson of Odessa McLean Drive, Mylors Hill, St. Michael, appeared before Magistrate Christy Coffey Sargent today, accused of murdering Donasan Husbands of Fairfield Black Rock, St. Michael, on July 13. According to police, Husbands lost his life in the car park of the Hard Rock Cement Barn located at Spring Garden, St. Michael. The two were not required to plead to the indictable charge, as well as that of unlawfully and maliciously wounding Adrian Seeley on the same day. Barbados has a new centenarian. She is Violet Gilks, who currently resides at Jude's Nursing Home at Holders Hill, St. Michael, but is formerly of Bayfield, St. Philip. Ms. Gilks celebrated the milestone today with Governor-General Dame Sandra Mason, family and friends during a luncheon at Maynard's House, St. George. Her grandchildren said the former domestic worker is in good health and still enjoys reading. Happy birthday.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
In news from our regional neighbors, the Royal Bahamas Police Force is investigating an allegation of a claim of police brutality after a video goes viral on social media showing an officer hitting a woman. We get more in this report from ZNS News.
Claims of police brutality have surfaced again after a video went viral on social media showing a police officer punching a female. We reached out to Deputy Commissioner of Police Emerick Seymour. This was his response.
That information was brought to our attention, not in an official capacity. It was brought to our attention, just like yourselves, via the social media. And so, at the moment, there's no official complaint made to the police department in that regard. Notwithstanding that, though, we are looking into the matter to determine exactly what transpired there. And so as soon as we are able to get to the bottom of that, to verify the authenticity of it, and then of course to see whether or not anyhow we're looking into the matter with a view to making some sense out of it.
And on the international front, a motorway bridge collapsed in the Italian city of Genoa, killing at least 24 people. A number of vehicles plunged to the ground when one of the huge supporting towers crashed down during torrential rain.
A lone truck sits just meters from the edge of a severed bridge. And below, the mangled concrete and steel of a, quote, immense tragedy. Dozens died and more were seriously injured when the busy motorway collapsed in the Italian city of Genoa. The 90-yard section of road crashed down in heavy rain, coming to rest on a factory and sending huge slabs plunging 55 yards into the river below. Some 200 firefighters are on the scene, clearing debris and lifting survivors from the rubble. Italy's Civil Protection Agency said there were 30 to 35 vehicles on the flyover when it came down, and that 13 people were hospitalised, including 5 in a critical condition. The Morandi Bridge, a major artery to the Italian Riviera and France's southern coast, was built more than 50 years ago. Transport Minister Danilo Toninelli told state television that the disaster showed the dilapidated state of Italy's infrastructure adding that those responsible will have to pay.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.pb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alert via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as Screenplay and supermarkets at gas stations near you, and you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good evening.